Hey everyone. Hello. My name is Jenny. Welcome to Granny Square Peg. Today is Saturday, January 22nd, 2022. I'm going to be showing you two different blankets today. I'm going to be giving you all my notes on the blankets, when I started them, when I finished them, what kind of yarn I used, yarn colors, and then I'm going to give you my pattern and my notes on how I made it. And at the very end of the video, because I don't have a lot of workspace, I'm going to be hanging the blankets up, and then I'll give you an overall view of what they look like. Okay, so I'm going to get you guys on a tripod, and we will sit and we will go through everything about my first set of blankets, Alright, I'm going to get you guys on a tripod and we'll get started. Okay, so I have you guys set on my tripod. I have a little step stool in front of me to show you the color order that I did. Yeah, like my hands. Woo! Alright, and I have to reach around the tripod, so I am a little bit short. So just bear with me. Alright, so this is Caron Cakes blanket number 1. This is the yarn I'm talking about. Look at those long color changes. Isn't that beautiful? Note number 1. I started this blanket on February 8th, 2017. I finished this blanket on February 28th, 2017. So this blanket is almost 5 years old. And that's how long it's been sitting around. Colors I used. First color is Cherry Chip. Second color is Rainbow Sprinkles. Third is Lilac Frosting. Fourth is Spice Cake. Fifth is Lemon Lime. Sixth is Bumbleberry. And 7 is Blueberry Cheesecake. So this first part, this is the Cherry Chip. It starts out with a dark brick red that I absolutely love. Then it went into somewhere between a maroon and a burgundy. And then into a dark pink, a medium pink, and then a really light shade of pink. So that is Cherry Chip. Let's see if we can see that. Now I didn't use the whole ball of yarn, the whole cake yarn. What I did was I picked out my favorite colors, and the first time it ran through those colors, that's what I used. And then the second set of colors I used as leftovers for a leftover blanket. So the company was, when they did these ball bands around the cake of yarn, they put on a little sample. So this is what their color sample looks like. There's that dark brick red, and then the darker reds, and then the 3 shades of pink. So I thought that was really cute that they gave you a little working example of what the yarn colors would look like when you worked on a project. So that's kind of neat. So that is Cherry Chip. Color number 2 is Rainbow Sprinkles, and that starts with the green here. Goes green, blue, into red again, but it's lighter than the brick red, but darker than this other shade of red. I think this is my favorite red that they did. And then it goes into orange, and then it went into yellow. So from green to the yellow is Rainbow Sprinkles. So again, here's their little color example that they did. Turn it that way. You can see it better that way. So, Rainbow Sprinkles. Alright, color number 3 is Lilac Frosting. So that would be, the camera's not picking it up very well. This is a medium shade of purple, and then this is a dark shade of purple. I know it's coming up very blue, and then it went into tan, 3 shades of tan, actually. So that is Lilac Frosting. And here's the sample that they put on the label. It's a scarf. Lilac Frosting. Now, I don't even think they make any of these colors anymore. I don't even think they make these yarn cakes anymore. These are the originals to celebrate their 100-year anniversary. Yeah, see? These yarns came out in 2016. Now, I bought them in 2017 and 18, but it was to celebrate their 100 years of being a yarn company. So after Lilac Frosting, we've got Spice Cake. And Spice Cake was just all shades of orange, orange, and then peachy oranges. So that's what this is right here. And the camera will not do this justice. There is 2 shades of orange here. Like a pumpkin orange, and then a lighter shade that was more peach. And then this here, there is 2 different shades here. It's more like a fuchsia, but with orange undertones. So with the ball band, they didn't actually put the orange colors on there. They had done the purple, so that's Spice Cake. And after Spice Cake is Lemon Lime, which was all shades of green with some teal, which I love that one. So it starts with this lighter shade of green down here, and then it moves into the, it's like an aqua blue, and it's really pretty. And it moves into this darker shade of teal, and then it went back around to these 2 shades of green. So that is Lemon Lime. And let's see, that's the sample they give us on the label. Yeah, it looks very teal, doesn't it? But I like it. Even after all this time, almost 5 years later, I still very much like it. So the next color is Bumbleberry, and if that doesn't give you an idea about what it is, because it is all shades of purple. So right here is a medium shade of purple, and then a different shade of purple, different medium shade, and then a lighter shade of purple, and then a really, really dark shade of purple. It's so dark it almost looks like it's black. And then another saturated purple. And then last, which I cannot keep it up on my step stool, oh, here's the purple, the Bumbleberry. Look at all those shades of purple that they did. So this last shade is Blueberry Cheesecake. Blanket's fighting me. So it starts here with this shade of blue, which is on top of that dark shade of purple, and so they all look blue at this point, but they're not. That's the purple. Okay, let's cover up that purple. So it goes blue, 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 this light blue that has speckles in it, and then this dark, rich jewel tone blue. This was my favorite. I'm glad I ended on this color. I absolutely love that, and I think it goes so well with the brick red that's in the at the beginning of the blanket. So this is my Caron Cakes blanket number 1. Oh, here, let me give you a sample of the blue. See, these blues are absolutely beautiful. All right, let's see if I can give you an overall view of the blanket. Okay, so what I did was I have a set of bookcases behind me because I have a booktube channel, and I have hooks at the top of my bookcase where I hang lights, like Christmas lights and Halloween lights. So I just hung the blanket up on the hooks real quick, so it is pulling down a little bit, but I can give you an overall view of how wide the blanket is and how tall the blanket is, and then you can see all the colors that I used, okay? You guys ready? There. That is my Caron Cakes blanket number 1, made back in February 2017. So it's about 5 feet wide. And my bookcases are 7 feet. So, and it almost goes to the bottom. So it's about 6.5 feet tall. So, throw size, maybe. So there is the cherry chip. And then the rainbow sprinkles. The lilac frosting. The spice cake, which the camera just does not pick up those oranges, and I mean, it's doing okay. And then from that bottom green to the top green, that is lemon lime. All those purples, and that is dark purple right there. It's so dark it almost looks black. That is the Bumbleberry. And then right there starts, well, that's the last shade of purple, sorry. And then the blues for Blueberry Cheesecake. Let me see how I've got it hanging up. So let me give you a close-up of my stitch pattern, because we'll get to this. I'm getting ready to give you my, let's pick a different color. It'll come up better. So this is 3 single crochets that are on a chain 2 space. And then there's a chain 2 space. And then 3 single crochets on a chain 2 space. And then when you come back. Okay? So I'm about ready to give you the pattern. This is what it looks like when it's just sitting flat by itself. It's nice and tight, but you can see that when you do pull on the blanket, it does create these holes that give it a checkerboard look. So it's not a heavy blanket. It would be more of a lightweight blanket. And you sit on your lap. Just keep the chill off. There we go. All right, I'm going to sit you guys. I'm going to sit you on the tripod, and then I will show you my pattern notes, and I'll walk you through what I did. So hang in there for a second. Alright, so this is how I do my setup when I'm talking about books on BookTube. This is my little IKEA step stool. Alright, this is my notebook about everything I did for this blanket, okay? The pattern is my own. I sat with my hook, I sat with the yarn, and I sat with a notebook. Now this is my nicely printed version and not just my scribbled notes, okay? It is sort of like a linen stitch, and it's sort of like a granny stitch, okay? My first initial starting chain is multiples of 10 plus 2. Okay, that 2 is a turning chain, and that turning chain, I do not count that as a stitch. I do not work into that when I come back on the rows after that, okay? And the reason is because I wanted the blanket to have some texture on the ends, okay? Because I knew I wasn't going to be putting a border on the blanket because I wanted to highlight the yarn. So you see all these little bumps and all this little texture here. This is the chain 2 at the end and the beginning of each row, and I do not use that as a stitch. I do not count that as a stitch. So it is multiples of 10 plus 2. So if you want your blanket to be a certain amount of inches wide, then you got to figure out what your gauge is in order for your chains. Now I crochet big and I crochet loose. I actually had to work really hard to tighten up my stitches on this one. So for this first blanket, my initial chain was 170 stitches plus 2. Okay. My first row is just all single crochet. It's just a single crochet into each and every chain. So then you would have 170 single crochets. I would chain 2, and then for the next row, which would be row number 2, I would do 2 single crochets. So a single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch. Then I would chain 2 and skip 2. Single crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, chain 2, skip 2, all the way down to the end, and you should end with 2 single crochets. Single crochet in the second to the last stitch and a single crochet in the last stitch. You would chain 2, and then you would single crochet in the first stitch. For row 3, you would chain 1, and then you would do 3 single crochets in your chain 2 space of the row before. Okay, and then you would chain 2 and skip the 2 single crochets. Then you would do 3 single crochets in the chain 2 space from the row before, and you do that all the way down to the end of the row to the last 2 stitches. So you will have a cluster of 3 single crochets in the last chain 2 space. You will chain 1 and then single crochet in the last stitch. Okay, and in row number 4, this is where you get into the repeat of the pattern until you finish the body of the blanket. Okay, row number 4, let's see, I lost my count here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, where is it? Row 5. You chain 2 and you turn. Okay, you do a single crochet in the first single crochet. You do a single crochet in that chain space. Then you chain 2 and you skip the 3 single crochets of the row before. Then you do 3 single crochets in your chain 2 space from the row before. Then you chain 2 and you skip 3, and then you do 3 single crochets in the chain 2 space. So hopefully that is making sense. Now hopefully you get the idea of how it's sort of like a linen stitch, and then how it's sort of like a granny stitch. So that's why I have written here half linen, half granny. Okay. When you get to the last row, you're going to find that your stitch count is no longer at 170, that your stitch count will be at 212, because instead of doing 2 single crochets in the chain 2 space, we did 3. So that increased our stitch count. But that's simple enough that on the last row of the blanket, you do a single crochet decrease, and that is where you do a single crochet in, well, you do half of a single crochet in one stitch. You do the second half of the single crochet in the next stitch, and then you finish it off. So it's actually, you're working over 2 stitches and you're creating just 1. That's how you get your stitch count back down to 170, and you do that on your last row. So that's what I have up here. It's telling you single crochet in the first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch, then 3 single crochets in the chain 2 space, and then the 3 single crochets that are in the row before, I do 1 single crochet in the first single crochet, then I do single crochet together where I do the next 2 stitches and I convert them into 1. Okay, so I will have it written out in chart form, and I will have the notes written out. I'm going to put all this in a blog post so you guys can see it better and understand it better. Okay, I'd like to tell you how many rows are in my blanket, but I actually do not see my row count. Ah, yes, okay. Oh, I did. On the next page, I was trying to create little blocks, and every time I did a row, I'd put a check mark on it, but yeah, I didn't actually do that. So down at the bottom, we have the initial chain, the first row, which is your setup row, that's all single crochet, your second row, which is your second setup row. Then I did 176 rows for the blanket, and then the last row that does the single crochet decreases. So 176, 77, 78, 79. So 179 rows to get it to be about 6.5 feet. All right, I also have on here that I used an H hook, size H, because I'm American, I live in the US, but for everybody else in the rest of the world, it's a 5mm. If you do not want this blanket to be big and loose, you have to try to tighten up your stitches, okay? So I'm going to be putting all of this. I created this pattern all on my own. If you come across something that is similar or even the same, it is a coincidence. I've been crocheting for 40 years, so I know how to sit with the hook, and I know how to just make things up as I go along. I did not steal this from anybody, and I just want to put this disclaimer out there. If it is somebody else's pattern that I do in these videos, I will let you know, because I have participated in crochet alongs, so I was not the creator of the pattern. I just worked it and made a blanket because of the crochet along. So I will let you know. I will give credit where credit is due. I do believe that designers do need to be credited for their work, but this is my own. It's just something that I did. So if it looks similar to somebody else's, it's purely a coincidence. So I'm going to take a break and rehydrate. Got to stay up with the water. And then I'm going to get my second blanket that I made, and I will give you the details on that one. Because, well, just because. We'll talk at the end of the video because I love to chat, okay? So give me a few minutes and I will be right back, okay? Alright guys, blanket number 2. Caron Cakes, blanket number 2. I like my little cards. I started this one on August 26, 2018, so it would have been a year and a half after the first blanket, because I was still in love with Caron Cakes. And I finished it on August 31st, 2018. So take a look at those dates again. The 26th to the 31st. That's how fast I used to crochet, because I used to. I can't anymore. I've had an issue. You should go watch my first video and it'll tell you what's going on. Alright, so the yarn colors I used. I only used 5 cakes for this blanket because I made this blanket a little shorter and a little smaller. I did Rainbow Sherbet, Blueberry Custard, Pistachio, and for Pistachio I used the whole cake and not just a little bit of it. Strawberry Trifle, I used the whole cake, and then I did Fruit Cobbler. There's a possibility I used all of Blueberry Custard, but my notes don't say one way or the other, and I can't actually tell. So, let me show you the colors. So the first color being Rainbow Sherbet is this. It is orange, and it's full-on pumpkin orange, and then it goes into these really pretty shades of blue. There's 2 shades of blue, and then it went into green. Yeah, it's a pretty shade of green, kind of like an olive green, I guess. Then it went into this really bright fuchsia color, and then into a really bright orange again, and it's just, and then it went back to blue and blue. Oh, is there a possibility I used the whole cake for rainbow sprinkles too? I mean, for Rainbow Sherbet. There's a possibility I used the whole cake. So that is Rainbow Sherbet, which I actually still have that in cake form sitting here, so I can show it. That's what this is. This is, yeah, this is Rainbow Sherbet all rolled up. This is what it looks like in the cake. And you see, you got to really get in there to see what color that these cakes start with. And even then, sometimes when you get in there, you'll find a little bit of a different color. So they were fun to work with. And here's its ball band that says Rainbow Sherbet. I'm not pronouncing it wrong, that's how it's spelled. Oh, and then here's their little sample of it. See, that's not right because that's not red. There was no red in this cake, so this picture is very deceptive. It's very fuchsia. Anyway, what can I do? It's 5 years later. Alright, so next is Blueberry Custard, and that goes from this yellow right here, and it goes into this warm brown or tan, then it goes into this lighter shade of yellow, and then it goes into it's kind of like a slate blue, and then another shade of blue, and then it went back around to yellow, and then the warm brown and the tan. So that is Blueberry Custard. I found the Blueberry Custard to be very neutral and a little bit boring. Wish it had a little bit more pop to it. So that's Blueberry Custard. And again, the yarn colors they have on the band are wrong. Alright, so next up is Pistachio, and I know I used the whole cake of pistachio because I have no little leftovers from it. So that is all greens and a creamy shade of white, which I absolutely love. So let's see. There's our first bit of green. Let's see how many shades we got here. It's a graduated shade of green because it does get a little bit lighter, and then it gets really light, and then it goes into this cream, and I love this cream color, and then it goes into this darker shade of green. Yeah, it is 3 different shades. After this band of olive green right here, this set of green is, and then it gets lighter and lighter. I don't think I realized that there was 3 different shades in there. So that is the pistachio, and I do like the pistachio. I do like shades of green like that. Although this darker shade here, it actually, I think it clashes with the creaminess of the other colors. But what can you do? So here is pistachio. And then after that is the Strawberry Trifle, which is... Strawberry Trifle was not sure if it wanted to be pink or peach. I think it's more along the peach spectrum, but I think it's dark peach. It's not actually red. I don't think it's pink. Maybe mix of pink and peach together to get this color they got going on. The camera does not do it justice again, but I mean it's really pretty. And then it goes into this, it's half gray, half beige, and then into beige, and then this creamy white. And I'm still loving this creamy white. I love creamy white in everything that I do. And then back into this peachy color, and that went really well with the beginning of the fruit cobbler. So the fruit cobbler worked really well with some of the shades of the Strawberry Trifle. Strawberry Trifle. And then last is the Fruit Cobbler, which I love the muted earth tones of the Fruit Cobbler. It starts with that light shade of brick red down there, and then into the green, into this is a really, really, really light shade of peach, and then into this blue, and then this is a half blue, half gray. And then it goes back into this really light shade of brick red. I loved the Fruit Cobbler. It's my absolute favorite. You know, I think I still have that in cake form. Hold on. Yeah, I do. So this is the Fruit Cobbler still in cake form. There's the brick red, the green. You see, it is very peachy. And then the blue, and then the gray. That's so pretty. And there's its ball band that says Fruit Cobbler. Isn't that pretty? Alright, I'm going to hang this one up so I can show you the colors better, and I'll be right back. Okay, so there is the second blanket. I think my first blanket came out better, color-wise. I think it makes me more happy. But this one's okay, too. So there is Rainbow Sprinkles. No, I keep saying Rainbow Sprinkles. I'm sorry, it's Rainbow Sherbet. I'm sorry. And then the Blueberry Cheesecake, which moved into the greens of the Pistachio. And then the peaches and the tans of Strawberry Trifle. And then those muted earth tones for Fruit Cobbler. So I think my favorite color is the Rainbow Sherbet. Even though this fuchsia is a little bright, I think that's my favorite color. The blanket number 2 that was made back in August 2018. So almost 4 years now, 3.5 years. And then you'll see that I have more Caron Cakes and more here. And the 2 I showed you while I was filming. Okay, so what did you guys think of my blankets that I made? Should go watch my first video. It's an introduction video to let you know what these videos are all about. After 40 years of crocheting, I've had to give it up, and I have a lot of projects that need to be finished up. So those 2 cake blankets, they needed the yarn tails sewn in, they needed the notes written up, and I'm working through the process of letting go. I have a lot of crochet stuff, and a lot of projects, and a lot of blankets, and a lot of yarn. So go watch. If I can figure out how to link it in the cards above, I will put it up there. It's a long video. I talk. I like to talk. So blanket number 1 was made in February 2017. Blanket number 2 was made in August of 2018. So all I did is I just moved them around from spot to spot to spot in my house. Because I fell in love with the cake yarn, just like everybody else did back in 2016 and 17. But I didn't do anything with whatever yarn I have left over. I have 5 cakes of fairy cake. What color is this called? This one is literally called fairy cake. These blues are beautiful. So I've got 5 cakes of that. I've got 4 cakes of strawberry trifle, 1 of pistachio, 1 of strawberry kiwi. I didn't show that one to you because I didn't use it. It's pinks, greens, and peaches. I have 1 cake of fruit cobbler and 2 of the rainbow sherbet. So that's what I have left. I'm going to be selling them, whether I sell them just on my basic eBay profile or I have an Etsy shop. I'm thinking maybe my Etsy shop, since that's all things crochet related and yarn related. So I have to let go of the yarn. I'm going to be selling the blankets. I forgot to tell you when I showed you the blanket hanging up. Blanket number 2 is about 4 feet wide and about 5 feet tall. It is a little shorter and smaller than the first blanket. So, and it's still a lightweight blanket because when you stretch it, the stitches will stretch out a little bit. It's got some give to it, so it's a lightweight blanket, and maybe for like toddlers or a kid, you know, when they're curled up on the couch watching things on TV. So I only used part of the cake when I made the first blanket. So I had leftovers, and what I did with the leftovers is I sat and I wound them up, and then I cut them at every color change. So I have a box here that's holding all of the little balls of yarn where I cut with every color change, right? Check out those blues and purples, the creamy white and the peaches. Let's see, some orange and tan, green and tan. So these are all the leftovers of the Caron Cakes that I used on those 2 blankets, okay? Oh, look at that pretty shade of blue. And the purple. So, oh, this blue right here. And that peachy color. And some more. Okay, so I have them all in a box. So these are the bigger colors that had more of, and then I put the littler ones in this baggie because they you know how they like to unroll themselves and get tangled up, right? Like yarn has a mind of its own. I have another Caron Cakes blanket in the house somewhere in one of my bins, but it was done with a completely different pattern. So I know I have more leftovers from the Caron Cakes. I just don't know where they're at this point to put them all together. So with these little leftover balls of yarn, I'm using a size G, which is a 4.25 millimeter hook, and I'm just doing a basic single crochet. It's 150 stitches across, and it's just single crochet, chain 1, turn, to use up all the little leftovers, okay? So they'll be in random order. They won't be in a rainbow order. They'll be just in whatever color I'm in the mood for on that particular day, because I had damage to my arm. That's why I'm doing these videos. You really should go watch my first video. I had damage to my arm, so I can't crochet like I used to. When I used to crochet 8, 10, 12 hours a day, 4 hours a day for long stretches, it was like a full-time job, but I can't do that anymore because of problems with my arm. So I can only do about maybe 15 minutes at a time. So that's what I'm doing, just 15 minutes a day, just doing it. So it's going to take me a long time to work through these leftovers, but that's okay, because then I'll have a scrappy looking blanket when I'm done, right? So yeah, I showed you my blankets. I showed you my pattern that's written on a piece of paper. What I'm going to do is I have a blog that is Granny Square Peg. It's at Google, it's at Blogspot. I will type it up in print form so you can use the pattern. Hopefully it makes sense to you. See, the thing is, when I made that first blanket in 2017, I made the second one in 2018 working from my own pattern to see if my pattern made any sense. But of course it made sense to me. I'm just hoping it makes sense to everybody else. So when I do write up that blog post, I'll put a link down in the description box and you guys can go read it. Be my testers. Let me know if it works for you. Let me know if there's any errors. If you want the words written out instead of their abbreviations, like CH means chain and SK means skip. So let me know. And hopefully with help from you guys, I can work through my big massive pile of blankets that need to be finished. And selling off my yarn. Maybe you guys could give my yarn a nice home and some love so it can be used properly, since I cannot use it anymore. Was there anything else? I showed you blanket 1, I showed you blanket 2, I gave you the dimensions, start date, finish date. I really should be working from a checklist, right? The yarn itself, that's what. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I've always pronounced this as Caron until I realized there's no E on the end, so it's probably not Italian. I always pronounced it Caron, so it was Caron Cake, Caron Simply Soft. I have a feeling I've been pronouncing it wrong probably my whole life. It's probably pronounced Caron or Caron, maybe? I don't know. So, if you guys know, put a comment down below. But be nice, right? Because we all say things a little differently. The yarn is 80% acrylic and 20% wool. So if you do have a wool allergy, whether it's just a contact allergy to touch it, or nasal allergy where it can close up your breathing apparatus, don't use these cakes, because the fibers do come off and they do fly around. I have a mild allergy when I'm breathing in the fibers, and it's not bad. I just go take allergy meds and I'm fine, and I'm okay to touch it. So 80% acrylic, 20% wool, but it does make for a nice soft yarn and a nice soft squishy blanket. So these cakes are 7.1 ounces or 200 grams. Okay, hopefully the camera can focus on that. It is approximately 383 yards or 350 meters. Okay. It's a lot of yarn. You can make a hat out of it. You can make a scarf out of it, and if you have enough cakes, you can make a blanket out of it. I really enjoyed working with it. So my yarn here is, they do have a manufacture date on there. This one says 2016. So the yarn that I do have left over is from 2016, 2017. They even have a hashtag, and I actually looked this hashtag up recently on Instagram because I joined Instagram a couple months ago with my first YouTube channel, with my booktube channel. So it's hashtag Caron Cakes, and you can see projects that people have made and they've tagged it. So yeah, I mean, it's an awesome yarn to work with. It is soft, it is squishy, and it works up beautifully. And while some of their color combinations in the cake is a little weird, and some of those colors are, you know, when everything's soft and you got that bright pop of fuchsia and right smack in the middle. But that's okay. I think that's it for today. Yeah, this is my setup for my booktube channel, so I figured I'm going to use the setup that I have to do the yarn and the blankets. So thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. It's going to be a long journey for me, and it's going to have its ups and downs. So I appreciate you being here. If you do like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, any comments, drop a comment down below. I will do what I can to put in links in the description box. And that's it. I get to throw away my scribble notes now. I get to throw away the ball bands because I don't need them for the yarn anymore. And I get to take my clean set of notes and put them in a notebook, and I get to list my yarn and sell it. I get to list my blankets. I'm going to list them in my Etsy shop, and I'm get to sell them. And then I can move on to the next bin of yarn and projects. So I'm going to try and do videos every Saturday, that's for sure. But I'm thinking I might do a video earlier in the week, like Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, to show you what bin and project I'm going to be doing next. So let me know what you guys think if you want a little sneak peek of what I'm going to be getting into before I do the video on Saturday. So thank you, and if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe, and then definitely go watch my first video. It will explain everything. I'll see you guys in a couple days. Bye.